Excited being here with you today. It's a start of a new year, and for many of us, we are still recovering from the end of the year. Perhaps a little congestion, and I really hope you celebrate it. I hope you had fun, and even though you might feel a bit weak or tired and still kind of going through the motions of preparing the year, going through the goals, I want to be helpful. I want to be there for you, and I want to give you some ideas how to think about it. Here in Europe, where I'm seated, it's no snow, really not much. There was around Christmas when I was actually traveling off to Costa Rica, a lot of snow, as my family and friends and acquaintances actually sent over some pictures. But as I said, I was quite fortunate to travel at that time for about 3 weeks in Costa Rica, and I have learned a lot. And one thing we had done with my partner Kate, and if you are interested in this, you can follow, 𝐤𝐤𝐿0404 or on Instagram and get a little bit more on, where are we going and what are we traveling, how are we thinking. But today's kind of session is about something that I've been experimenting with, and Kate actually got me into this. We watched this movie Deepest Breath on Netflix, and about, I think, might butcher her name, Alessia Cecchini, Italian world champion in freediving. And Kate watched this and she pulled me into this, and we started training around last year summer. Went to pool, and freediving is basically swimming, holding breath. You take a breath in and then you swim underwater, and it's an amazing sport. It's sport probably old as 8,000 years, and history shows that humans have been diving and freediving, diving on one breath for food, and freediving is sometimes called apnea. That's the Greek word for without breathing, and has been essential livelihood in some cultures such as spearfishing. So it's a very interesting concept, and I can tell you I've learned a lot about myself in this time because we went through the first level of certification. Kate is also certified in open water scuba diving, but we did open water free diving, and that's obviously the difference is you don't have a mask, you just hold breath and then dive under. And this is very interesting because holding breath daily, it's quite safe, I would reckon. And there is a lot of science still coming up to this. You've probably heard about Wim Hof and his breathing technique, but the thing is, with diving, when it comes down to that, you should never dive alone when free diving. Diving deep for long periods is not something to be done alone, and obviously there is a lot of pressure created. You need to learn to equalize and really manage your mental kind of chatter, manage your breath, learn to hold breath longer. And the thing is, what really I like this kind of training, holding your breath, is when it comes down to emergency. Think about a fight or flight mode. You're on the street and the car passes quickly and the heart starts racing. We hold breath and we breathe very shallowly. So through holding breath, you start learning to getting to know yourself a bit better and learning more about how to navigate stress, how to navigate difficult situations, and learning more to cope with anxiety and other things. So really it's an essential skill. Again, when it comes down to freediving, I would reckon it's quite safe, but it's an extreme sport, so please treat it as such. And you need a coach, you need a guide. It has consequences, and there has been another part in this freediving, which is that part where people actually hold on to a machine and try to drop as deep as possible. And this is not the part we do at freediving. And generally, people now do different type of techniques with, dynamic no fins, dynamic with fins, and which is probably very irrelevant for you. But the important thing is it's very cool. You probably have done snorkeling when you go swimming, and holding breath underwater, it's really cool. So again, you got to have a partner, always a buddy. And the thing is, holding breath for extended periods of time can slow heart rate from lack of oxygen, cause CO2 buildup in your bloodstream, nitrogen narcosis, if you will, if you dive deeper into more than 30 meters. But don't worry about this now. Many people don't want to dive deeper than 30 meters. There is obviously decompression sickness, which is the barotrauma, which comes from being deep. So there is also science actually that points out that might help people to build, work more efficiently and their blood cells work more efficiently. So the thing is, for many people who do this on a professional level and dive really deep, and I think the world champion is 𝐔𝐬𝐞 𝐂𝐻2. You might have heard about him, and we actually have done his course. Now he has dived or dove, I think, about 136 meters deep, which is obviously for mortal human beings quite impossible. But with some training, you can probably do it. But again, this is not for everybody. The beautiful thing with this is that that science shows, or at least some small case studies shows, that the ability to hold breath can or may increase longevity, help brain tissue to regenerate and mitigate stress levels. Even the buildup of CO2 can make your body more efficient and create more red blood cells. So think about, when you wake up in the morning, you're groggy and you think like, oh, I need to have a coffee. You think about how would it be if you hold your breath for 30 minutes. That probably it's impossible, but 30 seconds to all the way to 1 minute. And when you try it first thing in the morning, the beauty thing is that you're quite relaxed and you can really probably do it. And you will see, that the blood pulls from your extremities, which is from your arms and your legs, all the way to this region, obviously, of your lungs. And more you do it, more you get used to it, the longer you can hold your breath. But again, I want to say, there are still many small studies and on non-human subjects, and a lot of these people who do it and don't obviously always are tested or subjected, because it's such a solitary sport, or solitary. It's in small communities and people do it obviously out in the ocean, and there's not always a scientist to track that. But I would recommend it's important to know that holding your breath for long periods of time can be dangerous and should only be done under the guidance of trained professionals. So again, even if you do the Wim Hof breathing, he recommends do it when you do the hyperventilation, which we don't suggest in freediving, to do that in a safe space in case of passing out. As I said above or before, passing out and blacking out is not allowed. It's not recommended in freediving, because obviously that's dangerous. And when you're underwater and you black out, you obviously risk your life. So I'm saying not allowed, because that's decision for me to always dive safely and do it in my own way. But again, even if you don't want to free dive, holding breath, and maybe sometimes you go swim and just dive with somebody and try to hold your breath a little bit, swim underwater a little bit longer. So remember, it takes time to improve your breath holds, and it is okay to take it slow. So I hope it gave you a little bit of another perspective on longevity and health. And as we're starting this year, I really want you to be strong and powerful. So there you have it. Hope it helps. Be awesome, and we will speak soon again.